Hello, everyone. As people who have been watching the subathon know, this is our Big Brother ranking here on Recipe for Reality for our season premiere. If you're watching this just as its own standalone video later after the date, welcome. This was filmed during a 24-hour marathon, and I am on the last 3 hours of it, so I am delirious. But that's okay. That's fun. Zach is here. Zach, are you excited to rank Big Brother?
I am. Dylan, let me tell you, I've been playing right now in an ORG, which I believe to be called, I don't know what the acronym really is, but I'm using my brain.
Online
Um,
reality game. I got you.
that's what I figured it was. And so I'm playing an online reality version of Survivor. It's called Survivor Game On Season 7 Grand Theft Auto, right? It's all video game themed. And let me tell you, being in like immersed in it, I'm doing confessionals. I don't want to say too much because God forbid someone of course that this would be how I got voted off, because someone heard me talking about like I actually have a secret alliance and I'm conspiring against my top. No, I'm not doing any of that. But it's very fun. I've been, as you know, I've been super busy, just like you. Life gets crazy and hectic, but I'm feeling my love bubbling up again for the reality television of it all. As I watch, I'm watching like Last of Us. I'm doing a little bit of video gaming here and there. So like
Hell
every
yeah,
so
buddy.
often I'm like I could do with a little bit of Big Brother. I mean, as you know, for me, it's been a rough 2023 for a Big Brother fan who loved Big Brother 20 so much, because we lost something pretty special. Um,
Yes.
I won't. Is that stupid to say? It's pretty
No,
dumb,
I know
but it
exactly what
is.
you're talking about. I'm just getting this tier list ready, but yeah, you're right. It's
That's
tough.
fine.
It's tough
But
when you
I'm
become so
excited.
attached to these people and they break up. It's quite a devastating blow. I'll say that. Is that what you're referring
And
to?
you know what? Of course, yeah, Tangela,
Yeah. Okay.
Tyler and
Yeah.
Angela.
Tangent.
But the cool thing is, I mean, I'm excited now. I liked Survivor when we started watching it. I think I will like Survivor and enjoy it even more now because I've had to do some of the dumbest things in my entire life as a result of an online reality version of Survivor. Like I said to Rachel the other day when she was sitting in here. Um, I literally, you had to stand with cups in your hand, like a red Solo cup in your hand, fully extended on Zoom, fully live. You had to stand with it fully extended. And then every 2 minutes, you had to take a cup and you had to put it on top. And then it was just like, that is how we won immunity. It was seeing who last person
That's
standing.
fun.
So, like, it's these dumb little things, but they're so much fun. And I would highly recommend if you're watching, and you really are like one of the people who like Dylan and I are always like, we want to be on, we want to show our stuff. This is the best way to do it, right? This is the best way to have a good time. And they're all over Facebook. You can find them literally anywhere. But if anyone's watching and they want to hop in on one, obviously you can't hop in on this one because the season is going, right? But Survivor Game On is a great one. Survivor OG, I think, is another one that there's out there. You can find literally just about anywhere, and it's a ton of fun,
Mm-hmm.
and it lets you scratch that itch. If you're sitting there like, I think I could do it, then do it. Have a good time doing it.
Yeah. All right, so for this Big Brother ranking, Survivor, I know we haven't even talked about the finale where Gabler won, and I know Zach has thoughts. So instead of doing that now, because we have a whole
Forgot.
tier ranking, we're gonna do it in the next episode, which will be our next episode that we'll pre-tape or do live, where we will also be predicting or doing a cast assessment for this new cast of Survivor that got announced. But Vabion, I watch Hell's Kitchen and Amazing Race too, so this is the place for you. I love Hell's Kitchen.
Both
Um,
both are also great. Both are also
yeah.
great.
And Matt, that's great to hear. Your mom loved Big Brother. Your mom sounded like such a very special person, and that makes her even more
Well,
special because she loved
I love
Big
Matt.
Brother. But yeah, so I'm gonna share this screen just so you can kind of see. We're doing tier style. We kind of talked about it before. We went on, aka during the subathon, so people did hear us talk about it. But like, the idea. Hold on, let me see. There we
I
go.
guess we'll never know. Okay.
Yeah, we're not going to do the Canada seasons because I've never watched those, but they're there just because of this tier list. But basically, we have like a top 5: A tier, B tier, C tier, D tier, F tier. Um, and that's how we'll kind of do it. We'll kind of talk and settle on where we think it should belong together, just because that'll save less time of just going through. Oh, that was my 17. That was my 14. It's like at this rate, there are best seasons, and then there's like
Right.
solid A tier seasons, B's, C's, D's, and F's. So we want to get right into it, Zach.
Let's go for it. Dylan, if I'm correct, this was just the number I had. I believe there's 28 seasons for us to rank. So we've got maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less. That's just what I had.
What was the
Including
most
Over the
recent
Top and
summer?
Big Brother.
Over the Top. Yes. Okay, that's
20,
the other one I was thinking.
24, but you have Over the Top and Celebrity Big Brother 1, 2, and 3. So that's 4
Yes, I
extra
forgot about
seasons.
Over the Top. All right, Big Brother 1. We're just going to go in order of season, then kind of put it on the ranking. Big Brother 1, I've only seen once, and it's one of those things where, like, I've seen it, but, like, it's its own thing. It's, like, its own anomaly. It's its own weird thing. There's only been one returnee, Chicken George, and he's only there because he's a good personality. Like, it's such an enigma of a season.
Rip Chicken George.
I just don't... Did he die?
So I had actually when I was ranking myself, Big Brother 1 is on the bottom, and it's not even really because
hold on,
like,
Zach.
it's
I gotta get
number
some
28.
water. I gotta get some water real quick. Riff. I'll be right back. I'm listening though.
Okay, Dylan, you know I don't ever have to be told to talk more. He didn't even hear that, and I can't wait for him to hear it in post. So the reason when I was ranking 4, if we had a regular ranking, Big Brother 1 is at the bottom, is not because it's a bad season of Big Brother, but because, and I've heard this on a lot of people who rank Big Brother seasons or like say their top seasons. Purdium did a great video on it. Big Brother 1 is not Big Brother as we know it. And because Big Brother 1 is not Big Brother as we know it, to rank it up against the entire like multiverse of Big Brother's seasons with it is just not it. Like I would almost say, Dylan, to add its own category, but we don't have to do that.
No, we can do that
because obviously, I mean, because maybe just so you know, right? Big Brother 1 is so not the game of Big Brother that every single other person who's played Big Brother since then has ever had to play, that like putting it up against something like Big Brother, like how do you put Big Brother 1 up against something like Big Brother, like even I'm just going to use like Big Brother 21 for an example. Like they are both seasons have like their ups and downs, but the people in Big Brother 1 are not playing the same game that Big Brother 21 players are playing. So like it's beautiful because it started everything for us. People were interested, but it wasn't, it's not the game anymore. It's something special.
I said I put it in the ancient tiers. Is that a good word for it? Ancient? Because I feel like it's like it's an ancient ruin at this point. I'm gonna make it gray just because it's like it's its own gray area on this board. BB2, however,
that's perfect.
That's when we kind of get into
BB2.
BB2 is interesting because it's like we're getting into now what Big Brother is, but it's still not the Big Brother game we know. There's no veto, there's no second nominations. It's just literally the nominations and the vote off. There's no sequestered jury. They're all watching at home.
Right.
It's such a different vibe. And like I think things still play out the same way, but like aside from Will, I think this game is very entertaining, but it's just so far removed, kind of like Big Brother 1, but not as much so, but so far removed that it's hard for me to now like rewatch this with the same enjoyment because it is such like a bare bones version of Big Brother.
So Big Brother 2 escaped my top 5 by this much. It was my regular 6th. And the reason why is because I agree with you. It's so much older and the game isn't the same anymore. But it's players like Dr. Will, right? This is where Dr. Will is solidified, introduced, and like printed in history as like that guy is the reason why we play Big Brother the way we play Big Brother, because he pretty much establishes the reasoning of like Big Brother up until like a certain point in any season is a physical game, right? You win if you win challenges long enough, you can get to the end and you can make a case for yourself in terms of like, well, I won my way here through every challenge. Dr. Will makes the case. Dr. Will makes the case of you don't need to win a damn thing. You don't need to do a good job. You can make mistakes at every single turn, But as long as you're good at speaking, and as long as you are a good enough player to kind of talk your way out of what's going on, not only can you get to the end, you can convince the other idiots in here that you deserve to win. So the reason it's not like S tier or the reason it's not S tier for me is because I do think that, like you said, Dylan, the game isn't the same anymore. But I would argue to put it either A tier or B tier because of how iconic its winner is, and B how much it brings to the game to continue. Like we said, and unfortunately, right, we still have some things from Big Brother 2 and Big Brother 3, right? They send the celebrities home. They don't sequester them, and look what it's done to the winners,
Right.
right? So we
Yeah.
even though it's not the same, I would say let's throw it in like an A or a B, whichever you want to
I was thinking, just because I think it's still like, it's not below average, but I'm putting in like high C, low B. So I'm good settle on a B if you're okay with that.
Let's do it.
For now. And we can always reshuffle because once we pick our top 5, we'll bump stuff up probably. Big Brother
Right.
3, though. Welcome the power of veto. Welcome Daniel Reyes. Welcome Jason Guy. The thing that ruins this season is the non-sequestered jury, because Danielle wins otherwise. I don't know that, actually. Danielle may not win otherwise, but I think she severely is at a disadvantage because the jury is not sequestered. That's my one qualm with the season, but watching her dominate and Jason dominate, those two, my favorite dynamic duo probably in Big Brother. So, like, I'm such a fan of this season, despite it's still not feeling fully like Big Brother yet. Like, I think the next, I'll tell you when Big Brother like really clicks as like Big Brother as we know it today. It's coming in a few seasons, but I still think 3, they're still finding the groove, but I still like it a little bit more than 2 because I just like Danielle and Jason more than I like Boogie and Will.
I think that Big Brother 3 is such a necessity when you talk about Big Brother, because all the thing about the early seasons, I think, kind of like what you're saying, Dylan, is that the early seasons do have like their own individual jobs of distinguishing why Big Brother needs to be played different ways, and there's not just one way to win it. You have like Dr. Will establishing the not the floater, but like the social game mentality and strategy. You have Danielle and Jason in Big Brother 3 establishing why it's important to have one person and take them as far as you can, but cut them at the end if you need to, because you just have you have the wherewithal to know, if I bring you to the end, I won't win, right? That's exactly what she says. But you also have these iconic moments with hold on, I was just making
Marcellus.
sure. I'm like looking it up. You have these iconic moments with Marcellus. Like
I cannot
there's
use
a
the power
reason.
veto on you.
There is a reason.
No, he has power
that
veto. He doesn't use it on himself, and then Jason.
He doesn't use it on himself.
Yeah.
There's a different season where someone does have the power veto and they do not use it on Marcellus. And to say that there's a reason that from Big Brother 2 there's only one person, but then for All Stars the first time they say, give us Danielle, give us Marcellus. I think that it's a great season. If you are just starting to watch Big Brother, I actually think it's one of the top 10 seasons you should go back and rewatch. Maybe not the top 5, but like top 10. So I would say throw it in like, I think because these early seasons all have like their really, really real high highs, but then stuff to even them out, I'd throw it in like high B tier, low A tier to like even it out. So I would put it before Big Brother 2 right now and keep it in B tier.
Yep, I like that. Because they kind of fit the same mold there. Big Brother 4, the one with the X's, such a fun twist. June and what's her? I forget what her ex-boyfriend's name is though. But you have like those X's in there.
I'm looking it up. I'm getting our casts up as we go.
Right. Is this the one where the guy gets expelled for holding like the thing to the one girl's neck or whatever? Is that this season or is that a later season?
I think it might be a later season.
Or maybe it was an earlier season.
The good thing is there's no. It actually might have been 1. It's 2. It's 2. It's 2. It's 2, I thought.
No, I think it is this one. Scott was expelled with
he's expelled
outburst. But there's another one earlier where someone also gets expelled. It might be season 2. Let me just look real
I'm
quick.
looking
'Cause
now.
the expulsions, yeah, Justin gets expelled in season 2 as well. I just want to see why again. Justin um gets
I can't believe we forgot to talk about that. And the expulsions are some of the best part in like that scary way.
formula. Oh no, so Justin is the one in season 2 who holds the knife up to Krista. In season 4, it's Scott who has a violent outburst that
Yes,
gets him removed. So Justin in 2 is the one that I see that I can't get through the beginning of that because it's so icky. I would bump 2
it's
down just
really
for that
gross.
incident. I don't like that.
Okay,
The holding the knife down. No, we'll keep it a B because I think you had it at like A, but we'll
right,
keep it a
right,
B.
right.
But yeah, that holds it down. This one not as much, just because I still think the X's stuff is interesting. For some reason, I think the most interesting thing about this is like the final two. I really like the
Yes,
idea of like um, the fact that it's these two people who are kind of floaters, kind of not really in control, and then they end up getting to the end. I really like that. But the rest of the cast for me is kind of duds.
it's not really a memorable season when I think back on it. I think the people who are the most memorable are Scott for getting expelled, and even how much was he memorable? If I couldn't even remember if it was this or
Mm,
season two. But then June, because June also still has a very big social media presence now, which is
mhm,
like we're what 20 years removed now. It's 20
right.
years this year. So I mean, I think June is a great winner, a great example of like again one of the big establishing. You don't always need to be in control to be the winner at the end. Something just has to go your way, and you have to stick tight with the person. But I think that like for me, again, it's a lot of these older Big Brother seasons are like middle of the road. I would say Big Brother 3 is kind of at a C tier. Or sorry, Big
Number
Brother
four.
4 is
Yeah, I
kind of
got
at
you.
a C tier.
I'll agree there. Yeah, I think the final two story of how they get to the end is so good, but like I just this one is a little more forgettable in that early phase of Big Brother. I agree. Also, having eight house guests start and then 5 X's come in, so 3 of them don't have their X's come in. I think that's kind of a disadvantage because yes, your X is coming into the game, but it's still someone you know. So like it can be a disadvantage or an advantage, but the fact that not all of them had their X's come in, it's a weird choice. Moving
And
on
it's
to
one of those like
yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say it's one of those early Big Brother twists that like are not feasible unless everybody agrees, and you can't force someone to agree. So they kind of like work themselves into a hole, and then you get what you get. So,
Like what? Well, are you gonna quit? Or are you just gonna like live with your ex all summer? Let's see. Five is this is the example I was saying earlier of when it finally felt like Big Brother to me. This is the back door, the start of the back door, and I think that's kind of
yes,
where we're getting like the introduction of what Big Brother is, and that's Nokomis's 5 finger plan. The whole idea that Jace blindside, I think, sets the stage for the rest of the game and how it would always be played. Nakoma single handedly. But I also like the idea that they have a twin twist as the first example of the twin twist. I think that's a fun twist. I think the idea that Cowboy and Nakomas are really related, long lost siblings. Like I love that twist. I don't know if that was something the producers found out after the fact or if it was something at the very start of the season. They were like, we're going to spring this on them later. They must not have known. I don't know. And then Drew and Diane, an amazing example, like you were saying
right,
earlier, with Marcellus of like we take you into the end and then we have to cut you. This is the perfect example where he cuts his own showmates at the end. I think that's tragic. I
right.
mean, Diane, a great third place finisher, but like picks Cowboy to go with him in the finals instead of Diane. I think this for me is like this is in my top 5 seasons, but like I think this is like the start of what I know Big Brother as today. But I know there's so many good seasons on the board, so I don't know where you have it, but this is in my
Uh,
top 5. So I'd say this is A or B tier, if not top 5.
I don't know what it was. I think I was just like tired or loopy or something. I had Big Brother 5 so much lower, and then you started talking about the people in Big Brother 5 and what goes on in Big Brother 5, and I was like, did I mix it up with a different season? Because I had forgotten about the 5 finger plan. I knew about Nokomis and I knew about Cowboy, but I was like, that I don't think they were on the same season together. And then I was like, wait, oh, I have a completely different season. So I had it so low, but I actually just switched on my own list for my reference where Big Brother 4 and where Big Brother 5 were both located. I think it's a great season. I think that because it establishes so much, um, I think it actually would be a great beginning A tier. I will say though, the only reason I'll keep it in B tier is because I think that, for me personally, is that I think that there's a season about to come up that literally reestablishes the game of Big Brother. This establishes it, but I think that another one solidifies it, and it's done in such a way that, like, I think it would be a great first A tier. But I'm
Yeah,
okay with it
let's
B
keep it
or
at the
A
top
tier.
of the let's keep it at the top of the B tier for now. We could always bump it
I'm
up.
just going and
Um,
getting tissue. I will be right back.
that's fine. I can start on 6 because 6 I think has like the most iconic cast of the pre All Star seasons. You have obviously I think the top two are probably the least interesting, Maggie and Yvette. But you have Janelle, you have April, you have Howie, you have Bo, you have James, you have Kaser. I don't think there are many duds on this season, and all the duds go early. This is also another thing where you have the duos where some people are paired up, some people aren't. I like that idea. The secret partner type thing where like they didn't know that they were all paired up. It's kind of something they would try to do with like Tommy and Christy later and stuff like that. But this time the whole cast is in on that. I like this season a lot because of the characters it introduces. I love Janelle as a presence, Janelle and Kaser. I mean, this has an iconic cast. I don't remember the gameplay in this season as much as
No.
I would love to, even though it's obviously the classic two alliances back and forth. It's kind of what we see in like Big Brother 20. It's the Faute versus level 6 or whatever. It's that same idea of two separate sides of the house, which I always love to see in Big Brother. The only thing is, I think because so many of these people play the very next season, whenever I think of those people, I think of that next season. I don't think of this one, but this one, I'd say, I think the gameplay and how it works in terms of Big Brother and back and forth, this is probably a little bit more successful, whereas the next season is more of like a steamroll of one side of the house. But I think the next season has more individual, better moves. I like this one though. This is like a solid B for me.
Yeah, I agree with you. I like Big Brother 6 a lot, but I like Big Brother 6 because of what it gave us, right? Big Brother 6 gave us the people that were necessary. I think what Big Brother 6 does is it says there's enough people in this game who are not only so good at it, because then when you look at the All Stars cast, right, coming up, can we just do Big Brother All Stars and Big Brother 6 one at the same time to talk about it?
Yeah.
Because I figure
Yeah.
like when you look at Big Brother 6 does a really great thing where like the individual games are so strong that CBS has the ability to go like, actually, wait a minute, what if we took all of these people who are playing right now? Because Big Brother 6 pretty much has the majority of the cast for All Stars. When you look at
Yes.
it in a certain way, they say like Big Brother 6 really has defined the genre, which for me
Yeah.
puts it in a B tier.
Janelle, Howie, James, and Kaser all come back for 7, which is 4, which is a lot from one season.
And not only that, you then have two of them coming back literally almost 20 years later, or like 15 years later, to play another All-Stars game. So, but I think that their game as a whole, because Keisha doesn't do as well in Big Brother 6 as he does in Big Brother 7,
He
or
actually
is it
does
flipped?
the whole thing is that
He does the
Kaser
same. That's
always
right.
plays
He
the
does
same
the same.
right before jury. Yep.
And the thing about that is I feel like Kaser as a whole, the Kaser Janelle relationship, the Howie in Big Brother All Stars, for me, it's just more of like they were so iconic in Big Brother 6, and then you put them together with a lot of other people who play the game well. I think that Big Brother 6 is again either the top of the B tier or like right between 5 and 3, and then for me, you throw All Stars as your first A tier, because All Stars, like you said, it's a bit of a steamroll. But the thing about it is that even though it's a steamroll at times, what happens at the end with the big, because it is being set up pretty much from the very beginning as like a Dr. Will, first real winner of the real Big Brother. He's going to be the second winner, first 2-time winner ever. And he completely subverts the expectation of it. And with Janelle and Erica making that big move at 4, I mean, like, I think, and just everything that occurs, the Danielle kind of like crumble down from her throne, which was tragic to watch, but so exciting.
My thoughts on 7. I think the cast is all-timer. Like, it's my favorite cast because obviously it's the best of the early phase. Even the ones who don't do well in the season are, like I said, some of the most iconic players of all time. Nokomis, who created the backdoor. Allison, a great runner-up. Diane, and one of my favorite showmates is Kaser. These people all go before jury. My thing is it's a bit of a steamroll in the fact that, like, the two couples, it's Boogie, Will, Janelle, and Erica, kind of, they dominate. The thing is, at the end, the move the women pull on the guys to get rid of Dr. Will is such a good move. But in the end, when I'm looking at those four, I want either Janelle or Will to win. And the other two, Erica and Boogie, are the two that make it to the final. And I think that, for me, is an unsatisfying ending to a season where if we have the same play out of the season, but instead, let's say Will is in the HOH position and Boogie is the one who goes home 4, and then Erica goes home 3, and it's Janelle and Will in the final and Will wins, or if it's Will and Erica in the end and Will wins, or even if it's Janelle and Erica in the end and Janelle wins. I think that is a much more satisfying outcome than Boogie winning over Erica, when Erica, I think, is the one person on the cast that they wouldn't have brought back, and she's the one who makes it to second. And Boogie, I also wouldn't bring back from 2, but Boogie proves himself in this season. He's entertaining, but based on his performance in 2, I wouldn't bring him back. So I think the fact that it's kind of like in Survivor All-Stars, where it's like the two people who you didn't think would be on the cast, Rob and Amber, end up making the final 2 and then end up being the most popular players in Survivor history, Rob and Amber, and they get married and have kids. Like, that's kind of what this feels like. It's like Erica and Boogie are the two that, if you look at the list, you're like, they are all-stars, and then they make it to the final 2. And that's kind of the one disservice, whereas, like, I think the best 2 players get 3rd and 4th. But seeing them get to the end and seeing that move where Janelle does cut, Janelle and Erica do cut Will and split up Chilltown, is such a good move that it's like a bittersweetness. It's like, I wanted to see the best player win, but at the same time, they did pull off such a good move. So I agree. I like 7 better, but I think that's the only thing I don't love about 7 is that.
Right. And I agree with you on all of that. What then flips it around back for me is how Mike Boogie, because at that moment, right, like, you're playing the game, you see your ally go home, you're like, I'm screwed. Like, there's no way that if they win, they're not going to take me. But Mike Boogie realizes, I miss old Mike Boogie. This new Mike Boogie, I don't take. But, like, Mike Boogie has that moment. The first endurance comp of Final 3 begins, and all he needs to do is go, hey, Julie, remember Richard Gatch? And she goes, I sure do. And he goes, they both have to take me to the finals, and drops immediately. And because he does that, he gets Janelle out. And then Janelle is out of the final 3 contention unless she wins final 2. He beats her in final 2, and then he ends up in the final 3 and wins. I think that I agree with you. The move at 4 is just so disheartening because you don't want Will to go, and you see Janelle leaving, you don't want to. But, like, Mike Boogie's move, when he should be at his lowest, he is actually at his highest. And I think that is such, for me, that's one of those top moves in Big Brother where I go, like, damn, dude, way to go and win that money for yourself. Because at that moment in time, the two of them have to ask themselves, what's better, for me to win or to let him win? Because if he wins, I at least have a shot of of convincing him. But, like, whoever wins this last comp, they don't have, like, they have to take Mike.
That's a good point.
And that sucks.
That's a good point. I think for old school Big Brother, All Stars is kind of like it. It's good. I would go as far as to say it's definitely A, and it could end up sneaking into our top 5. I think 6 is below it. I would put it below 5 just because 5 kind of like introduced the backdoor and all that stuff. But 6 has a better cast and has probably better moves in general. And the pressure cooker is such a good competition. I'm fine putting it anywhere around here. What do you think?
Oh, the pressure cooker is one of the best competitions. I want another pressure cooker.
Is this good so far?
Kate, that looks great to me. To me. Viewers, how are we doing? Are we doing great?
A lot of them don't watch Big Brother, but there are people watching, so I'm really grateful for that. And hopefully we're recommending good seasons. Big Brother 8. This season is controversial for a lot of people for a lot of reasons. But I've always believed in play the season you're given. Dick didn't ask for America's Player. He didn't.
He did not.
Danielle did not ask to be paired with her dad, but they were father-daughter pair. They said, hey, we got to work together. Why not? Why would we work against each other? And Dick said, Dick didn't even know America's Player was in the house. And then that's another thing I think. Eric, I mean, is just doing America Once. I love the storyline with Dick and Danielle. I absolutely love it. I
I
love their
agree.
journey. I love their story. I do agree in terms of gameplay. I don't know if I can say it's a great season because the reason Dick wins is because of America's Player. He goes home over Dustin. I think it's Dustin, right? That he's on the block against. Yes, he goes home over
Yeah,
Dustin
yeah, yeah,
if
yeah.
America's Player doesn't exist because Eric would normally vote out Dick. So it's like, but still, like, how do you not watch that finale and not feel that rush when Dick is holding him onto the water with the water pouring on him and he's freezing and he's shivering because he knows if he loses, he's out of the game because Zach's going to go on to win. And he knows that if he can just hold on and win that, then him and Danielle, then he goes up against Zach and he has to beat Zach and then takes Danielle at the end. And when he finally beats Zach in that final HOH and takes Danielle and says, he just like flips off Zach and pulls Danielle into his arms. I think that is one of the most awesome moments, especially knowing that they have a tarnished relationship and they only talk when they're in the Big Brother house. They don't really talk outside of it. That creates like an extra level of like depth.
Yeah.
I just love their story so much. But as a season, I don't know.
Yeah,
But I love their story.
I think that's the thing. Big Brother 8 on my list was number 11, and that's really it. Is like Big Brother 8 as a gameplay season is kind of like, take it or leave it. Big Brother 8 as a storyline of like what like that there's good to come out of like these very difficult relationships when you get stuck with someone in such a unique scenario. I think it's beautiful. I think the only other thing though that tarnishes it for me, and maybe why I wouldn't even put it necessarily at B, I'd actually start maybe throwing it a little bit lower into C tier now that I'm thinking about it, is because then what sucks is that you come back to Big Brother 13 and you find out that that was just for this. And again, no disrespect to Danielle or Dick, because I get it. Like, we don't live their lives, but I think that's actually a faux pas on CBS's part, because they thought bringing them back was going to be such a big thing, and then it turns out to, like, I don't want to say undermine the feeling of Big Brother 8, but to showcase, like, you went on this emotional roller coaster for this whole season, and then a couple years later to find out, like, hey, it didn't really work. Like, it was great television and it was great to watch, but like, I feel like for me that just, if I never knew the outcome of what happened after, I feel like I would feel so much better. But because I know the outcome, it tarnishes it a bit for me.
I do think there's a beautiful tragedy, in the fact that they didn't speak again even after Big Brother, because it's like they'll have that moment. It's like that was their moment, and like it's kind of like their love exists in the Big Brother house. It's a tragic thing though. It is sad to see. I'm agreeing with you. I think it's top C tier. I just think Dick and Danielle's story is so good, but is the gameplay around it as good? I mean, Danielle's great at comps. Dick's an amazing piece of television, but I don't know if their gameplay is as good as other Final Twos. Big Brother 9. Zach, what are your thoughts on Big Brother 9, the dating experiment till death do us part? This is such an interesting season.
My thoughts are no. My thoughts are no. So Big Brother 9, I admittedly, like, I've tried to watch Big Brother 9 so many times, and I've tried to, like, sit down and really, like, grit my teeth and go through it. But the thing about Big Brother 9 is it just doesn't feel like regular Big Brother to me. It doesn't feel like Big Brother as we want it to be. It feels more like an experiment of, like, oh, we have a lot of really great success rates with, like, people like having showmates. So, like, what happens if we kind of force it? And that to me is the worst thing you can do, because you force it, and then once you force it, people stop playing the game the way you want them to, or truthfully, they just stop playing it in a way that's smart. Because throughout all of Big Brother 9, you just have people making dumbass moves. The winner's not memorable. And they do it at such a weird time, right? They aired it starting in February.
Was it a writer's strike or just an idea because of Valentine's Day? Like, I don't remember the reasoning behind it.
I'm looking it up. I think that it is a combination of writer's strike with this, like, oh, well, we'll take the most out of what we can. Oh yeah, it aired in the winter due to a writer's strike. But what then they do is they say, all right, well, we're going to air it in the winter, because we're airing it in the winter, let's make it love themed. Like, it just, like, to think that Big Brother would be airing right now that wasn't like a celebrity season with Pete. Like, it's just so weird. I don't love it. I find it to be like an okay season of gameplay. But on the whole, it kind of falls flat for me. And I'm okay without it not being here.
I will say it's got entertaining moments, but it's not a good season. I'll never go to watch it first, and I think just there haven't really been any memorable figures to come out of it either. So I don't want to say it's a failure of a season because I still find it entertaining, but
no, I don't think it fails.
So I'd say
it's
D.
a good season. Yeah.
All right. So Big Brother 10, Dan Giesling, my favorite player of all time.
Dylan, I think we might have our first contender for like full on A, if not like S tier season, and I feel pretty good about making a claim like that.
It's in my top 3 seasons, so I'm gonna put it there for now. I love this season so much. It's obviously the introduction of Dan, but it's great. The greatest thing about Big Brother 10 is the gameplay is top notch with Dan, but it doesn't end there. The character stuff is so good. The good thing is that the character stuff never, like, they work together so well, and they shouldn't, like, because the character stuff, there's so many wacky characters in this thing. Rennie and Keisha and Jerry and Memphis and Dan and not Howie, Jesse, like
Ollie.
This is such a Ollie, April. I mean, this
Ollie,
is such
man.
a. Remember when they had sex and then they streamed it? Oh my god,
it was so weird.
Nuts.
It's such a weird little bit of television,
but even when it's nuts, it's still firing on gameplay. Like it's the only one that I've thought that the gameplay and character are both firing at 10s and hitting it. Whereas other seasons, I'll admit, I think the gameplay is more intriguing, but the drama is not quite here. This is like the peak of both drama and gameplay. Like this is, I think, Big Brother's peak, maybe until a later season, which we'll talk about, which may also have Dan Giesling for me.
I was going to say, I mean, like that's the hard thing is that you talk. It's so difficult to place so much importance on one player in all of Big Brother. But the thing about Dan Giesling and how fucking magnetic he is as a player is that he is what every Big Brother player, fan, and otherwise has tried to be ever since he showed up. And that is how you know you have a top tier season and a top tier player. If everyone at a certain point is just trying to emulate what you are doing, that's great gameplay. That is a great season. That is because if you were good enough that people are looking at you and going, I want to be like that. I want to have that kind of a game to play. I bring up Ollie because he makes a promise to Ollie and just cuts it away at the very top. Jerry calls him Judas at the like just the fact he's a Catholic
Judas
school
to me, Dad.
And he literally looks at him and calls him Judas, and there's nothing better. And Dan just takes it. He's like, "Yep."
I think that's the thing is Dan eats
goes
it
on
up.
to win.
And goes on to win because he plays the best game, and he just knows how to play the game while also eating up that screen time. He's my favorite player to watch. It's so good. The fact that
it doesn't just go on to win; goes on to win unanimously.
And it comes in second.
I believe it's our
first unanimous
vote,
and only until Xavier, I think, or Celebrity Big Brother. So yeah, very good.
Celebrity Big Brother too.
But Tamar, but I think also like the idea of the first boot Brian and the fourth boot Jesse being first and fourth boot of their season, and then the very next season for 11 when they do the clicks, they are two of the people competing to get into the house. Your first boot and your fourth boot are that awesome that you're gonna risk bringing them on to Big Brother 11 as the sole returning, and Jesse makes it in as the fourth boot of his season, not even making jury, gets onto another season. It's that stacked of a cast.
And Jesse then becomes an icon for the fucking series. He becomes what's it called? Mr. Spectacular. I almost said Muscles Glasses. That's a good throwback for anyone who used to watch Epic Mealtime, right? That's like that was Jesse, Mr. Spectacular, Dan, Memphis, like all of these like star players, and out of the star players, only one of them is really like the star player, right? Dan is modern Big Brother's ultimate type of winner. You play Dan Giesling's game and you win Big Brother, not only are you the best, not only are you the winner deserving of the win of your season, you are a winner deserving of like the title of best of all time. There's a reason that really only one other person after him has touched that like status of one of the greats. But like, Dylan, as far as I'm concerned, and I agree with you, or I don't know if you said this, but this is my 2 cents. I think Dan's best of all time. I really do. I love a lot of players more than I love Dan, but I think Dan as a player to have the best of all time in your season and for this to be the establishing, I mean, it's S tier to me.
Yep.
S tier to me.
Yes, sir. Big Brother 11. This is my disclaimer. You know how when like you watch Big Brother for the first time, that first season you watch is always going to kind of like mean something to you. The reason I said Big Brother is in my top 10 is in my top 3. It's my number 3. Big Brother 11 is my number 2, but it's because it was my first season I ever watched. It's my first season I ever watched, and I can tell you the season beat for beat. I can tell you every single moment. Casey with the banana, Ronnie and Russell, Shima throwing her shit into the pool, Jesse's blindside with the coup d'etat, Jeff and Jordan falling in love, Kevin being this underdog and losing in the last minute, Jordan winning just because she skated on by and beat the strong people at the end, took out Kevin at the end. For me, it's almost a perfect season, if not a perfect season. I know the stuff with Jeff has aged poorly. Some of the stuff he said, some of the fights are tasteless. Shima being expelled is bad. Brayden was a racist, but Brayden did go first. They got him out first.
Please put on your microphone.
I don't think this is one of the best seasons of Big Brother personally in terms of like if I was assessing gameplay, but if I'm assessing for me, my personal picks, Big Brother 11 is in my top 2 only because there's only one season I like watching more because this one brings me back to first watching Big Brother. The first week of Big Brother I watched was Casey's Blindside, and then I went back to watch the first 2 weeks, and then I kept watching to the end. Fell in love with the show. I don't even really care for Michelle or Lydia that much, or even Ronnie. I'm not a big fan of, but I just love this season because it's my first, and you never forget your first. So that's why it's in my. I don't have to put it in top 5 for our tier if we're picking a definitive top 5 because I know that's more of like a personal thing. But I still think it's a really good season.
I think it's a great season. And the thing is, I will tell you, it's not my top 5, but that's why at the beginning I said, like, it's better that we do something like this because getting, like we might have gotten to like our top 2 and you would have been like Big Brother 11. I would have been like, Dylan, that was my literal 13th. It's been a little while since there. But I think what you said is important, right? It is so important when you start watching Big Brother because when you start watching Big Brother sets up you as a viewer and what you crave pretty much from there on out and like what you see as like highs, lows, middles, in betweens, right? It's the same thing with like Survivor. My first Survivor season ever is season 41. And that is a pretty damn good season to have be your first season. So like, the bar is always very high, and then you compare based off of it. So, like, I use that as my disclaimer because I'm sure as we get closer to it.
I'll tell you, in the Survivor community who have been watching since season 1, 41 is ranked low on a lot of people's lists. So the fact that you think it's so good, I think that just speaks to when the show gets you and hooks you, doesn't matter how good of a season it is. If it's a great show, which Big Brother is and Survivor is, it'll hook you with any season, and unless you're watching Big Brother 9 or 1 or something. But like, I really think that just is that proves my point perfectly. I don't have to put it in top 5 because I know it's not collectively both are in our top 5s.
No,
but I would love to put it in low A or high B if that's okay.
I was going to say, so the thing about Big Brother 11 as a whole is that the gameplay is fiery. That is a great word to describe it, I think. Fiery. It is never boring. It's never dull. The problem with Big Brother, and I love Jordan as a player. I don't know if I love Jordan as a winner. I love Jordan as a winner opposite who she eventually beats. And I believe it's Natalie. Natalie, right? Martinez. Yeah. So I love Jordan as a winner opposite who she actually ends up defeating in the end. What I don't love about the Big Brother 11 season is that it feels at many points that things are. And I guess this is when expect the unexpected. Like you're like, all right, I've been expecting the unexpected. This is a little too unexpected. Can we like cool it with the unexpectations? The thing, coup d'etat is a beautiful moment of television to watch. It is exhilarating. You're sitting there like, no way, no. It feels a little convenient, and I think, admittedly, and the reason I'm not going to knock it is because I think in the modern seasons of Big Brother, there are a lot more of those conveniences. And I think it's
Mhm.
because they realized probably around Big Brother 8 that a narrative trying to craft a narrative with people playing the game is so important because it is what the viewers start looking at, right? To have the Dick and the Danielle, to have the Dan Giesling and his, like, you know, his disciples, so to speak, the Mist, right? Like, that is when people start really like feeding in and like foaming at the mouth. So to have the coup d'etat is huge. To bring back Jesse and like have him play again and say, like, you know, oh, it's so important that Jesse like comes on in and what happens after that. The Shima
Expulsion, yeah.
expulsion is such
Woo!
a huge part of that episode.
For
Like
anyone listening in the
I think
chat who has not seen the season, one of the contestants gets expelled from the game for refusing to put on her microphone, which is a rule on Big Brother. You have to put on your microphone because they have to document what you're saying and monitor what you're saying in terms of like making sure you don't say anything inappropriate or against their guidelines. And they want to be able to hear you so they can put you on television, because if they can't hear you, they're getting nothing gameplay wise. They need to be able to hear the gameplay. It's a show after all. And she takes her microphone and chucks it into the pool outside and like flips off the cameras, covers all the cameras with sweatshirts, basically like, I run this house now. And the producers
oh
literally
my
said, you've got
god.
to go. It was nuts, nuts, nuts.
And that's one of the, like, this is the first time that we really see like the effect and the toll the house takes on somebody. We had seen like glimpses of it. That's the first one where we're like, oh my god, she needs to leave that house. She needs to
Yeah.
leave. And no, for my people watching, right, no disrespect to Shima, because we don't know Shima and we don't know what's going on in her life, and we didn't and now looking back at it, right, a lot of that seems like, ooh, we were on the wrong side of the house, like as viewers, for thinking what we were thinking. But it was also what, that was like early 2010s, I think, something like that, late 2010s, whatever, or like late
Early.
2000s. It was a different period of time. But I actually, Dylan, I do think it's a good season of Big Brother to start watching on. I do think that there's a better season to start watching on that we'll talk about in a second.
Sure.
But I think for me, it can go either low A or high B, and I'm gonna let you pick with your heart.
So this is my number 2, and it's the one that got me introduced. And I know I'm going to do the same for you when we get to your first season, or not first season, but the
Oh,
one that,
you,
no, but like the
yeah,
first
yep,
one
yep,
that
yep.
made you fall in love with
Yeah,
it. And
yep,
I don't
yep.
have it in my top 3, but I will reward it when we get there. Big Brother 12. Is this the one you were saying would be a really good first season? Because I agree, it's a very good
This
first
is
season.
this is a perfect first season of Big Brother. If you are someone watching and you want to watch Big Brother, go watch Big Brother 12, because it is first of all, it's a perfect example of what happens when a twist fails, because the
The
twist
Saboteur.
fails so early, like literally fails almost
And
immediately.
I'll tell you right now,
Um,
watching that show live, she was my winner pick when I watched it. I was like, I
I
love
remember
this
you told
girl.
me that.
And then they announced that she was not there to play. She was there to
Done.
sabotage the other house guests. And then she got voted out first. I was like, oh, what a flop. But I did
She
love Annie.
so I was going to say, having Annie go home almost immediately and the twist just disappearing. There was the early game is a little weird with like Monet and Andrew. Like, they're not like great. They're not, they don't offer a lot. But once that like hump is gone, first of all, we have floaters get a life vest. Kristen, per iconic, Brittany like sitting up in the HOH room with like twirling
Hair
the blonde wig,
extensions.
like all the brigade, like just
Yeah.
just these
The
endless moments of like building the modern Big Brother game in a way that breaks it but makes it entertaining, because this is the first time we really see what happens when you get 5 people together and go, okay, we can do this. Everybody grab a person.
yeah,
Everybody
it's
grab like a moment. Go.
it's a bulletproof strategy. 4 people are like, you're gonna pick a partner. And it's the cookout essentially. It's just the cookout did it with larger numbers and for like a more there was more stakes to their mission. Whereas this one is just 4 guys who know they can win all the comps because Matt's smart, Enzo's social, Hayden's physical, and Lane bounces around. Lane's a good floater. He makes good relationships. So it's like they had it sealed up. Their only adversaries were Brennan and Rachel. I will say right now, Rachel's iconic, Brennan's iconic, but I I never loved watching them when I was watching these seasons. I always found them painstakingly annoying. I
Oh,
like
I
them
that's why
now
I love it.
better. I like them in 13 a little bit better because
So
we get more of like they're more underdogs for a lot of it in terms of like they're underdogs and we don't like the ones who are running the game. Whereas here, they're underdogs, but we like who's running the game more. So I never felt compelled by their underdog story.
right. Well, and what
Ah,
I love about it is even though that the brigade is a bulletproof strategy, there are cracks in the foundation that can break it and just cause it all to literally
yeah,
crumble at any moment. And it almost does. And that's why, again, like there were prospects of Hayden almost returning for Big Brother All Stars, which I think would have been so unbelievably exciting. But I understand why it didn't happen because
yeah,
things we don't need to talk about on this show.
yep,
But like, I think that what makes Hayden and even Lane and Enzo such great players is that they saw that if they kept Matt, their strategy wouldn't work. So rather than them all fighting against one another and one being like, we can't give up, we can't split up the brigade. No. They all looked at each other and went, we keep him, we lose. And they
mhm.
said, done, cut him. And then, but
But
their
they had Brittany when
strategies,
they HOH.
I was gonna, and also they didn't get it to go the way they did because they said we have the time to cut Matt, let's just do it. And then this man pulls out a diamond power veto, and they've all already told him that, like, hey man, really sorry, like this is just what we're gonna have to do, like me and Lane, because they won't get, they're about to get rid of him up against Lane. But then Matt puts Kathy up on the block, and you're just like, what is going on? It is a beautiful season to watch.
Yeah.
Um, it establishes Brendan and Rachel as, I agree, these like very annoying. Shut up, Matt. I love you so much. Don't ever change. It establishes Brendan and Rachel as these, albeit very annoying, but like really, you almost kind of like. There are times where you're like, I don't want Rachel to win, but then other times where you're like, if Rachel wins, this is gonna be really, really fun. The Rachel when she comes back in the house, when she comes back, hi Reagan.
I
Like
don't like that.
I'm gonna make some cookie. It's just like, oh, and
I
Reagan
feel
too.
that
Like
more
all
in the
really
second one. Like
fun players.
when Brendan comes back in the game in 13, I
Just
actually
turning on the
felt
heat.
something. Here in this one, I just don't feel that for them. But I agree. They're out like Rachel's out so early in this where like I really do just enjoy the brigade's domination here. And I do love Brittany so much, such a sweetie. Um and I don't like Kathy, but she adds a fun presence, I guess. Yeah, that
I
pre-jury is a little weak, but I love Annie the Saboteur too. Like I think this is an A tier season. I think this is solid.
I think it's A tier easy.
Yeah, let's put it at
It
the
was
top
my
of the eight.
top five.
All right,
It
cool.
was my
Do you want to
top
put it in the
five.
top five? I'm down for that if you want.
No. We can always rearrange. We can
Okay.
rearrange if we
All
feel
right,
like
cool.
our A tier is getting a little heavy. We haven't
If
even
it's
put
if
anything
it's
in
in
F tier
both of
yet,
our
and some
top
are
fives,
coming.
it's going in the top five. So yeah, it's
Right.
10 is the only one that we both had in the top five so far. All right, Big Brother 13. As I alluded, this is where Rachel and Brendan come back, but this is also where Dick and Danielle come back, and Jeff and Jordan. As a fan of Jeff and Jordan at the time, I was stoked. As someone who hadn't watched 8 at the time, I was stoked to see this Dick and Danielle dynamic. And of course, Dick gets taken out because he
Oh,
tests positive for HIV, which they didn't know when they cleared him for medical reasons, so he had to walk. And then Brendan and Rachel, the one I was least excited to see, has probably the coolest story because Rachel ends up dominating
right.
early on, but then Danielle is bored because they basically give her safety for 4 or 5 weeks because Dick leaves. They give her that golden key and they're like, "You can't get voted off since your partner is out of the game." She's like, "But he wasn't voted off. I'm just sitting here like a sitting duck." And she gets bored, rebels against the alliance, and that creates a really fun dynamic where I'm actually kind of rooting for Brendan and Rachel because they're the underdogs. Brendan, Rachel, Jeff, and Jordan become the underdogs,
Yeah.
and then they have to kind of rise up against Danielle. They take Danielle out, but then Shelly blindsides Jeff. And then it's like Jordan and Rachel are the underdogs again. And I
Oh
love the scene where
yeah.
Jordan and Rachel are like together in the bedroom crying, like trying to figure out how they're going to overcome because they're the vets. But in this scenario, they're the underdogs because Kalia, Shelly, Portia, and Adam are overpowering them then. And the way they were able to fight through, Jordan goes home fourth, but like the way Rachel's able to battle her way to a victory, I earned a lot of respect for her. Even though I still don't love her, I find her annoying. I think
Right.
she earned my respect in that win. I find them much more appealing in Big Brother 12. As a season, though, the whole golden key thing is dumb. Though the fact that your partner goes
I
home
was
and then
gonna
you're
say,
safe for a few weeks, it ruined Danielle's game because she couldn't really strategize because no one really wanted to strategize with her in terms of like she was never really a threat. People strung her along,
she
and
has
she's not the
nothing to
person you
lose
string
and
along.
nothing to gain.
Right.
And
Nothing to gain.
so this is what I mean when I say, like, at one point Big Brother this is where I think Big Brother starts sometimes becoming a little too convenient because there's so much convenience in Big Brother 13. The Pandora's box just at the right time. Like the golden key twist just at the right time. The duos like just at the like everything is just it was clear that, and I will admit, like watching it, I don't want Portia to win. I think she would be a terrible winner. She would
No,
have been
we're
an
all rooting
awful
for
winner,
Rachel.
and
Even though I don't
and
love
and
Rachel, I
that's
still
the
like her better.
and that's the thing is that like we love watching Rachel. I honestly thought that like in terms of everyone else, Kalia is probably the strongest, newest house guest out of the entire bunch because she makes the biggest impact. If not, like again, she's
I don't know, man.
thrown
Lawan.
loops by all these. Oh,
No.
oh,
Special
well,
power. Vote me out.
who could
I'm
forget
gonna
who
come
could
back with a
forget
special
about
power.
Lawan? Who
That is
could
an
forget
iconic
about
moment.
Lawan?
How can we forget?
But like that's my thing is that I think that there's just a lot of convenience in this season, and because it's so convenient, that just it doesn't sour the taste for me. But I look at it and I go, okay, Big Brother 12 is a lot of like hefty gameplay that even when twists are tried, like they try to add them, they don't play out properly for people. Like the biggest twist Big Brother 12 has is the Diamond Power of Veto, which gets used, but it really just like creates a normal week, if not just some discourse for the brigade. But then also the Pandora's box, which is just Brendan getting a vacation in the house, getting tortured by Rachel. Whereas like this, it's like the golden key, the duos twist. Everything just happens at such a point where like I think like it would have been so much better to watch Rachel work her way out of a spot properly, but they don't want to get rid of her. So because they don't want to get rid of her, they show the duos twist, and it really like again, Adam and Portia would have been the worst final two in the history of Big Brother, I think. So to have Rachel there over them, I'll take it every single day.
No, I agree.
But it almost, and this does not diminish Rachel because I actually, here's what I will say, we haven't said it yet. I think Rachel's a top tier Big Brother player and she's earned it. Nobody does endurance comps like Rachel except for someone like Janelle. Like there is a reason that Rachel wins the season against all odds, even though it kind of is convenient that she gets there. And I think the reason that Rachel wins is because even with how annoying she can be as a game player, she has prowess. She earns respect, and that is what's so unbelievable about the way she plays the game. So I would say A tier, if not like high B tier.
I will say right now, I think Rachel's a better player than Janelle, and I'll tell you why. Janelle and Rachel, their thing is comps. But Rachel strategically put a man in front of her to where Brendan was always the number one target. Then when Brendan's gone, Rachel just has to worry about winning a few more comps. Janelle, the problem is she doesn't have that target to hide behind. And I know people might say that's more impressive that she's able to do it without that shield. But I think in terms of gameplay, you don't want to be the biggest threat. You want to have a shield. And Janelle, when we saw she didn't have a shield and she wasn't winning comps in All Stars, she gets taken out right away. And
she leaves
in the pandemic All Stars. But like
right
in terms of her first few seasons, she survives because of her wins. If she doesn't win all those challenges, she's out way earlier. Whereas Rachel, if she doesn't win challenges, they're still going to go for Brendan first. And I think that's been her greatest strategy is the showman. She uses that strategy for the showmans to her strategy. I am not necessarily with you on A or B. I was thinking like high C because I think it follows with 8 where it's like the gameplay just for me, I don't love the gameplay, but the story of Rachel's great. The story that she overcomes is great. I just really don't like the newbies. I don't like Portia, Adam. I still don't love Kalia. I don't like Shelly. I don't really like Lawan, Dom, Cassie. I don't like any of the newbies. That's the thing. And the vets, I think, are wasted some potential. I personally would put it in C, but I think it's average. But I think
okay.
Rachel's story.
No. I'm okay putting it in C. I can't believe sure? Yeah, because it didn't even break number 15 for me. It was actually number 16.
I'm thinking
I
right
think I
there.
actually convinced. I think, yeah, I think I convinced myself I liked it more than I did. But through talking
Well,
about
you're also married
it.
to a redhead Rachel, so.
It's true. She's way less annoying than Rachel Riley,
Mhm.
though.
Yes,
I
true.
hope she doesn't see
I
this.
no, no, that's a good thing. Way less annoying. That's a good thing.
She would have been like, she's gonna be like, "Am I annoying at all?" And I'll be like, "No, no, 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 no,
No.
no." Anyway,
All right.
she's not.
14, 14. I'm just gonna say
Put it,
now.
put it in S tier. Put it
It's
in
my
S
number
tier.
one season. It's my number one
Don't
season.
even. Let's not even bother. It's my number. It's my number 2 season again for bias,
It's my number one season
but it is.
because Dan dominates, but even when he loses, it's satisfying because Dan loses. It's one of the case scenarios where I don't like bitter juries because I don't like bitter juries in some cases. I think Dan earned that win, but there's still something satisfying about seeing Ian beat him. And I think that's the
Yeah,
power of the season is even though I was Dan 100% of the way, when Ian beats him, I feel happy. And that's so interesting that not many seasons have that where like the best player makes it all the way to the end and you're okay seeing them lose because just the underdog beats them and the underdog is just as deserving. I think the blindsides, Dan's funeral is my favorite move. But not just that, but Ian blindsiding Boogie, great move. The only one I don't like in the season is Frank. I don't know why they even brought him back. I don't like Frank, but I think Frank poses a good threat for Dan to try to get out. I never liked Frank. But just everything else in that season is great. The Dan's funeral, but then also the Shane blindside. It has two of my favorite moves. They're probably my two favorite moves. Dan's funeral, and then the Shane blindside are my two favorite moves in the history of Big Brother. So the fact that they're both in the same season, my favorite player. And I like the coaches. I like the idea that these are the four coaches. They are probably four of the most iconic. Brittany is the only one where I'm like, has she earned that status by then? She was a fan favorite, but like Boogie, Janelle, and Dan are three of the best. And then Brittany, though, is there to round it out really well. Like, because I think Brittany actually, of the four, has a much more impressive showing than Janelle and Boogie. And I think she adds a lot to the season. So
oh my god,
I think this is
100%.
a perfect season, 100%. I don't recommend this first for people only because it has returnees, and I
No,
kind of like the idea of watching a newbie season first. But I think this is a great season for people to start on after they watch like 12 and 11 or 12 and like 5 or 6. Like jump into this one then because it's so fun.
yeah,
The only thing is justice for Jody,
I
but
I think that I agree with you. I think as a season, it's flawless. And it's because I'm not even going to harp on it too much because you already talked on all of it. But the things that it does so well is this is what returnees and Big Brother really should always be. If it's not an All Stars, it should always be returnees in a situation where they clearly have higher stakes and higher power, and then you slowly integrate them into the game because if you like, we see it pretty much off the bat, right? They're going to be in the game. They're going to be in the game. But what was beautiful is they didn't bring them right into the game. They let them simmer in the game for weeks, and people were like, "They're not in the game. They're not in the game. They're coaching us. They're helping us. Like, look, they're going to lose too, regardless. So you better shut the hell up and do it." And that's what's so beautiful is that I think it is CBS's best overall showing as a company because they said we know what people love about this show, and that is when people bring drama, gameplay, and reason to watch what we're doing. And they bring back four people who I mean, like Janelle being a fan favorite, Boogie being a fan favorite after his showing in All Stars, Brittany having the recency bias, but then Dan as like your creme de la creme, like the icing on top of the cake, right? And then you get Ian, who like Ian in week 1 is almost on the way out the damn door, and Boogie's like, no, I'm not gonna let that happen, and then it becomes his undoing in the actual game. You have Frank pulling a Janelle, right? Winning all of the comps to ensure that he's staying there. He gets the one up on freaking Dan, and then Dan pulls the move of the century of all of Big Brother. Like it doesn't get better than watching. You get to the Shane blind side. You get to the people being like, I understand why they called you a Judas. Him being like, I'm doing what I have to do, man. He is cutthroat. He is emotionless. It's the best way to play Big Brother is to just watch someone play and literally have like no qualms. I'll cut you if it means I get to the end and I win. And even not winning, Dan is not a sour loser. That is what I love about Dan Giesling is that he got to
Feels like
the
Gary.
end. He said, I took a lot of big risks. Here are the moves I made. You don't like them. That's okay.
Yeah.
You're going to vote for Ian. Go for it. And he shakes Ian's hand, hugs him, gives him the win. It is a brilliant showing. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
I love the line. I've gotten blood up to my hands, and now I've got blood up to my elbows. That whole thing. Danielle, look up here. I need you to look at me. Like, all that stuff is so good. The only other thing is Willie does get expelled in this one, but it comes after. I think it fits with the story of like Willie had the strong week one, whereas HOH, and then just completely loses all his allies, including his coach Brittany, and then the very next week gets in a fight, headbutts a guy, and they kick him out. Like, it's a perfect downfall to a problematic person. All right, Big Brother 15, racism, disrespect. Great winner. I think Andy's a great winner. Andy is a great winner. He played a great game in terms of how he navigated the game. But that is the only positive I can say about the season. I think it is an irresponsible season. I think if anyone watches it and isn't disturbed and icked out, even by the best players too. Like the problem is that Aaron and Amanda are also two of the best players of that season, and they're the two most like awful verbal people. I think this is the only one where I can think of an F because it's so irresponsible in like I just think it's irresponsible television to show. Personally, I mean, you can learn a lot from it about society and stuff, but like for me, this is like the one season where I'm like, this was a failure of a season because of all the bigotry and all that.
If I'm honest, and this is how I'm using my and I actually, looking at my own ranking, I have it too high. I have it above all the celebrity Big Brothers, and I think I just don't like celebrity Big Brother. But thinking
There's another celebrity Big Brother I would consider lower though. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I think it would go right above whatever. What I consider a failure of a season, and also one that like needs to be an F tier, if I can't go back and watch it again, it is not a success. I can go back every season that we've talked about so far. I can go back and watch it, even Big Brother 1, for just like the sheer like value of like, oh, this is what the game used to be. If I can't go back and watch it, not like a Big Brother like 3 or 4 where I'm like, oh, I'm confused, like I don't really know what's going on. I just can't stomach it. If I can't stomach it, it is a failure. And for me, it puts it in F tier. Even with Andy being a pretty good winner, I think it's got to be F tier. Like
he wins by default because everyone else sucks.
And what I would love, I know everyone gets annoyed at Andy. I don't. I like Andy. I think Andy's a good winner. I want to see Andy come back and play another season. I think it's a disservice that they'll probably never bring him back because of the season he won. But I actually would love to see how Andy fares against people who play well and don't play to like, call out things like race and like it just, I want to actually watch him play with people who are at least good at heart and not people like Erin who just suck. She sucks so hard. I hate her with every fiber. And Gina Marie, like they both just suck. They suck so bad.
Big Brother 16. I know you have things to say because you love Derek. I will start because I think I'm lower on it than you, only because I think it's a great display of gameplay from the winner, but I also think it kind of sets a trend for how modern Big Brother is played in the sense that until then, we get a lot of shifting power dynamics. This season is where we see all the strong people, mostly the guys who have the muscle and can win the comps. And it's something we kind of saw with the Brigade, but the Brigade was a little different because they also were such a small alliance. You see almost half the house band together and basically like dominate the game to where like there's really no shift in power. There's cracks in the power system, and that's how we lose. Like the Zach and Frankie stuff happens, and the Victoria slides into the final 3. But all in all, those guys, Caleb, Frankie, Cody, and Derek, and essentially to extension Zach, and who else am I looking for? The girls, Christine and Victoria, Amber. Yeah, Amber's the only one who like doesn't really make it that far, but like it kind of sets a bad precedent in terms of like this is how to play the game now. You just kind of have to create a big number alliance, and I think Battle of the Block hurt that too. And just like use this big mass and just kind of push, and then like the 4 in the core push through even more. It's Brigade but amplified. That being said, I don't think it's a bad season because I think the gameplay is still really good. Derek's still great, but I know I'm lower on it because I think in retrospect, it's done worse for Big Brother. And I don't know. I think Derek's a little bit boring, but I don't think that's a bad thing. I think he plays such a good game, but because he's playing such a good game, he's under the radar a lot of the time. And Dan for me is someone who plays a great game, but is still able to be a showman, which is part of the reason we watch Big Brother. But I know Zach's much higher on it than I am, so I want Zach to talk about it.
So I'm not. I don't even think I'm too much higher than you on it. It's my number 10 in my full on ranking.
Oh, I was thinking this was like in your top 5 because I thought you loved this one.
No. I do love this one, but again, like that's the thing is that I've looked back and like my top 5. Just so you know, Dill, we've said 4 of my top 5. Like I'm in pretty much real like full on agreement with you about a lot of this.
Which 4 are in your top 5? Because I just want to know if one of them is also my 5. I'll let you know.
So 14 was my number 2. All Stars 1 was 3. Big Brother 10 was 4. Big Brother 12 was 5.
Gotcha. So we both agreed on 14 and 10 in our top 5s. As for me, 5 and 11 were both in my top 5, as well as 10, 14, and then one more we got to talk about. So I have one more left to talk about. You have one more left to talk about in our top 5.
We do.
I wonder if it's the same one.
I don't. We'll find out. I don't think it will be, but I would like to see it. So the reason why Big Brother 16 is so, first of all, my fun little thing is that I know Frankie, right? I've been in shows with Frankie, and he's a great guy, and I think that on the show, a lot of people have qualms with him because they found him annoying. But what I love about it is you do have a lot of great show outs from people who play these phenomenal games. Derek, of course, I believe. There's a top 3, like almost like Mount Rushmore of Big Brother, and he certainly is on it. I mean, he defines the game of Big Brother pretty much moving forward up until people kind of start getting bored of it, and that's such an important that is such an important thing to recognize. I think from the gameplay aspect of Big Brother. Is that like he figures out how to play the game in such a way where he doesn't ever really need to get blood on his hands. He can make people do the work for him. Whereas the Brigade, right? The Brigade was 4 people all getting pretty much the same amount of blood on their hands at all times because they were all kind of like out there firing on all sides and saying whatever. But Derek does this really amazing thing where he says like, I got invited into this alliance. I can use this to the advantage of what game I was already trying to play. And then once I become a puppet master, he doesn't plan on becoming a puppet master right away. He becomes a puppet master. And because he becomes a puppet master, he says like, I'm going to use this to my advantage. I haven't sat the block yet. And let's make it the goal to never sit the block at this point. I think where 16 fails is kind of like what you said, right? It becomes a steamroll. It becomes very obvious. The good thing is, as you were watching it, right, and I think on a first-time watch, pretty much always, you never want Derek to lose. You always want Derek to win. I don't think I've met a single person who's watched it for the first time and said, like, I really hope Derek loses at some point.
Right. Everyone I was team Zach, but next to Zach, realistically, he was the one I wanted to see win.
Right. And the thing is, like, you have great players like Zach Rance. You have great players like Frankie, Cody, who admittedly like didn't really play a great game in 16, but like because he was Derek's number 2, you were like, great, they have each other. But then you also, people who were on the outside had enough wherewithal to like make you want them win, like Donnie, like Nicole, right? This is Nicole Franzel's first outing, and it is ironic. And I mean, I would like to say, and you can disagree if you want, I think it's the one where you like her the most. Because you just want her to do so well because she's so endearing, right? And then you have people like Christine. She does. And then you have people like Christine and like Devin and like Joey who like are either just duds or you're just like, what are you just suck. You suck as players. And you suck as players and you're sucking as people. And I'm done with it, right? There is enough in this season to keep you entertained. I admit the Victoria in the final 3 is a means to an end, and it's not great. But I think that this season as a whole does such a great job at integrating people who maybe who needed to know Big Brother and to be introduced to it. I think it's a good season of modern Big Brother. Is it the greatest? No. But it does a lot to show. It was popular enough at the time that they brought the Battle of the Block back again. So I personally, I think it's B tier or high C tier for me. I think it's a good season of Big Brother, and it shows well if you're thinking about what it means while it was being played. Maybe not now so much, and it absolutely. I think the fans, we say it all the time. It hurt the game. It hurt the game of modern Big Brother because now the goal is just big alliance, win the
Yeah.
game, but doesn't always work.
Yeah.
Look at
I'm
21.
fine putting in like B tier. You good with that? Where would you want to put it?
Yeah,
Behind the old school ones, or like in the middle of them? Where do
yeah.
you think?
We can put it behind the old school. I think that's its right place.
Cool. Then we got Big Brother 17, which is famously Steve and Liz. It's the one basically where Vanessa loses. I personally have a soft spot for this. This is a top 10 season for me, not a top 5 or top 10, 3. It's a top 10 season for me because I have like a soft spot for the Nolan twins and for Johnny Mack and for James and Meg. Like, I think this has some really good casting people in it. I like Vanessa. I think her crying did get me a little annoyed at times, but I think she's a great player. The only difference is I think the winner is lackluster, and the fact that they just under-edited him this season. But that's really not a qualm on him. It's just like they just didn't really need to. But yeah, I don't know. I thought he was fine. But he's not a great winner, and I think that takes away sometimes from the season. Austin, I find him infuriating, but it's kind of one of those things where I'm like,
Yeah, but he's good though. It's good to watch.
he's still entertaining, and his
It's good to
blind side's
watch.
good. Like I think this is a solid season. I think this is like firmly B or C, like just average or above average, like very very solid season. There's really not a lot of detractors, but there's not a lot of like wow factor either. Davon goes way too early here. Jason goes way too early here.
Agreed.
But like overall, a fine season, I think.
Yeah, for me, it's a C tier. I think it's middle or high C tier. I just don't find it very memorable. And like if I'm doing something and I'm like, man, I want to go watch like a season of Big Brother, I'll like skip six, or I'll like look at 16 and then I'll immediately skip over 17 and go to 18 instead because I like the drama in 18 more. But I think that 17, like Steve's a pretty good winner in terms of like the fact that he like squirrels his way to the end. He does the Ian, Terry, and the Andy a little worse than the two of them, but still does it clearly well enough to earn everybody's vote at the end of the day. But at the end of the day, the season is really about Vanessa. And that, I think, is what keeps it from being a higher tier for me is for the whole season, you are with Vanessa. You want Vanessa to win. You want her to do what she can do. Sure, she's annoying with her crying, but like Vanessa has done so much and she plays the closest thing to a Dan Giesling cutthroat game as we've gotten, I think, in the last couple of years. So when she's playing that game, you want her to win. The problem is she doesn't play it as well as Dan because if she had done a little bit more to keep both of the twins, or not both of the twins, but like to keep someone, say like Liz, and then maybe I almost just said Gen City and went back 3 seasons. If she had done more to keep like Liz and even like a Meg in the final 3 with her, she actually probably would have had a better shot at having one of them take her, because I think Liz probably takes Vanessa because she would have been dumb enough to do that. But also I think Meg is noble enough. The thing about Steve is that I think she was banking on Steve being loyal because he had been so loyal, but Steve's a lot smarter than her. And that played out. And I think that is what makes it a good enough season for me. But it just like the drama, it sometimes feels forced. The early game, the early game, so much of it is like, ooh, there's a twist. The Gronk twist is tragically bad. And even like the Amazing Race twist really kind of unfortunately falls flat. There's just a lot of flat falls for this season. But I think that the post jury phase really makes up for it, and that's what kind of saves it.
Yeah. So 18. This one, I think if Paul beats Nicole, it's like a top tier season for me. I like Nicole in this game. It's just I don't know. I preferred Paul this season, which in retrospect after 19, I don't know if I like Paul as much. But like in this game, I was really rooting for Paul. I really like James. This is another one where it's like solid cast. They do the coaches thing. Davon's a great coach. James is a great coach. Nicole and Frank. I don't like Frank either. I just think the new people aren't as powerful or aren't as captivating as the 14 cast in response. And I don't think that the coaches are as seasoned as the
No.
14 coaches either. Like they seem very much more fan favorites than like actual like really good like coaches in Big Brother. This is another one like 17 where I'm just kind of like it was good. But I think Victor getting voted off again and again and again doesn't necessarily make a season good for me. It's like you got voted off 3 times in one season. Are you really that good of a player? Even though it's an entertaining story. There's not a lot that I can remember about 18. It's kind of like it's good, it's solid.
Ooh,
I
I'm
remember
the
I remember
opposite.
I remember Paulie and Davon fighting. I remember the Paulie downfall, but I also don't like Paulie Calafiore. What do you have to say about 18? Do you seem a little more positive?
18 is a top 10 season for me, my friend, and I'm going to tell you why. I love 18 because from start to finish, it is. I can't believe you say you don't remember a lot about 18 because Dylan, we quote it all the time. We just don't know it. You just don't remember, right?
I feel like 18 and
I'm like
17 blur together for me. Is Jose
I'm like
18?
Jose is 18. I'm like the
Oh,
Messiah. I'm
okay,
like the
okay.
Messiah. I'm like the Jesus of this house. Like
Yeah,
you
okay.
have early game is so entertaining. Jose immediately coming in and admittedly like Jose coming in and showing up and people kind of like buying into it. Like Victor from I think that the thing about Victor's story is that like sure, it's annoying to have Victor be so like, oh, he's in and now he's out again and oh there he goes again. But the thing about Victor is that every time Victor leaves the house, he comes back in with a different perspective. And that's what I like. It's not just the same. If it was like the thing about battlebacks that fail sometimes is that the person comes in and they're like, I'm ready for revenge. And instead of doing that, Victor comes in and he's like, so you guys voted me out. Like, what can I do to like have you keep me here? Like, how can I be of an asset to you? And every time he comes in, he rolls with a different crowd. So like that first crowd, he's Jose all the way. No question about it. Like we are together through thick and thin. Then the second time he comes in, and then the next time he comes in, he's all about Paul, and he's all about that little like nuggets of like like whatever. And then the third time he comes in, he's like, I am playing too hard by trusting too many people. So instead, I'm going to be the one that everyone tries to get to trust them, right? Because then he does the Nicole and Corey thing, where like he gets in good and they're like, we can make a deal here, we can make a deal. But the problem is he trusted them to make a deal only with him, and they had made the deal with Natalie and James. Like there was a lot to love about the
Oh,
season.
I do like Natalie and James too. Yeah, I don't like Corey.
Well, and then
Yeah,
and nobody likes Corey, but Corey's not the highlight of the season. Corey is the highlight of Nicole's season because Corey does the strategy that you, Dylan, highlighted for Janelle. Or sorry, not for Janelle,
Rachel.
for Rachel. She went in, she picked a guy, she picked arguably one of the top 3 she could have picked and said, you will shield me now. You will shield me until and it pays off. And I think that like what's beautiful about it is I do think that in this season, Paul's probably a more deserving winner. But I don't know if I can even argue that because I think Nicole, a lot of people's problem with this season is that Nicole plays such a sneaky game. And my response to that is, are you watching Big Brother or are you watching like puppy playtime? Like,
right.
What do you want? Like, do you want someone to be completely noble? That's not how they're going to win. Nicole's not going to win if she plays a noble game. She's only going to win if she plays the game that she ends up playing. Right? She only wins that way. And I think it's a great season. I don't think it's Nicole's best season, but I think it's a great season for Nicole.
Yeah.
I think Davon,
where do you
like,
yeah. I was just gonna say, where do you think we should put it then? I still think highest is B. I don't think it's an A tier season, but I could go.
No, it's not A tier.
Yeah.
I'd be okay with B. I actually think it might be a better season than 2, if I'm honest with you. Because 2 is a little bit older.
I'll say 3 too, because 3
2...
still the power of veto is a little weird too. Still, I put it right there.
Okay, that's fine with me. It's funny.
Yeah.
2 was 6. 2 was 6. No, I think it's good. 2 was 6 for me. 18 was 7, and I just kind of swapped them. But I'm okay with it now that I've talked about it.
Cool. Over the top. I don't have a lot to say about this. I watched it when it happened. It was kind of dumb. The fact that America votes the winner. The fact that America votes the winner, though. I just don't think that can count it as like a season. I mean, it could, but like not a great one, right? Jason was a flop.
Over the top, more like over the flop. Anyway, I think it's an F tier. I think it's an F tier. It's a poorly executed season. It sucks that you brought Jason back for arguably the worst thing you could have ever brought him back for. I think
Yeah.
Jason
And
needs
he's
an
not fun to
actual
watch.
chance on another season.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing is that without any editing, this is, I think, the problem with Big Brother is that without any really like heavy editing, a lot of your people become like insufferable to watch. But that's just because they're trying to play the game. You need Big Brother in its actual format, because without it, sometimes it just becomes like a very like, oh, Jason kind of sucks, but he doesn't suck. He's just trying to win money. Like, but
Right.
so I think it's just a flop.
Mhm.
Flop, flop,
Uh,
flop. There's a reason it hasn't happened again.
speaking of 19, very controversial.
Just put it right back. Just put it right there next to it. Just throw it right.
Zach,
Go
hear me
ahead.
out. That finale, the final moment, the vote reading, the jury questioning, the Raven coming in and being like, "I was the puppet master. I knew that was happening." And Mark calling her out and her turning to him and being like, "What did you do, Mark? What did you do, Mark? I never said I was a good player." I love that finale so much that I'm willing to bump it up to D. For me personally.
I almost forgot about. All right, dude, sit down. I am sitting, Matt. Oh, so good.
I think that finale puts it at least in D, because I don't think it's a failure if it ends on such a high, and it made all of us so happy on finale night to see Paul lose, let alone to Josh, who we also hated, but like out of spite, we love to see Josh win that. I personally think it's at least D because of that. Like, I don't think it's a failure. I think the failure for all of the top is just a flawed format. The winner being decided by America sucks. 15 is laden with racism. This one sucks. There's a lot of bullying, but like the outcome at the very end is so good. And Jessica's hot as hell.
So this is there it is. So this is my first ever season of Big Brother. This is the first season that I ever watched. So imagine
right.
everybody who finds out that I'm watching is like, I'm so sorry that you're watching right now. And you know what? Admittedly, I will say it is not a terrible season in terms of like it keeps your interest, because every day, what day do they play the Power Veto? Saturday, Sunday? I can't remember.
I don't know
It's
when
one
they
of those
play it.
two.
It airs Wednesday.
Every single time they were playing the Power of Veto, you are sitting there and just like crossing your fingers that it doesn't say Paul on Twitter. You're crossing your fingers that it says someone on the other side. But the reason I don't like it is because it's one of those that I really don't think I can go back and watch. I can watch the finale. The finale, I will give it to you. I think you can put it in D tier, but like nothing's going higher than it, or nothing's going lower than it. It just is so. It's so insufferable to watch at points, because I mean the bullying is awful. It's so telling that like Cody is everybody's favorite when Cody himself is just like such a not great dude. So like at one point you're just literally like, I guess we're just choosing the lesser of all evils, right? Like that's
it was
really
to make
where
a
we're
statement.
at. People wanted to pick Jessica, and she told them not to. And like, I would not have voted for Cody. I would have voted for Jessica. But it is what it is. I want. There's a lot of people from that season I want to come back and play a game again. They've brought the ones I didn't want. That's the annoying part. They brought back the ones I didn't want.
And who else? Just Christmas, right?
And Christmas. Yeah.
Who's
so
the
far.
other?
Just Christmas.
Okay.
I think Christmas for All Stars.
That's enough. Well, yeah, and then Cody and Jess on Amazing Race. I think that's also where I get a few points, because I did respect them on Amazing Race. But the next season, do you want to tell me where it is for you?
I'm going to drink some water first.
Oh, because if it's not where I think you
Big Brother,
I would be wrong.
It's in my top Big Brother 20 is Big Brother 20 is my number one. Big Brother 20 is my number one season of all time.
It is my number 5, but it is my number 4. So it's up there for me as well. And since it's your number 1, I'll put it.
Oh my God, Dylan, this is truly. I didn't think it was going to be there. I'm very happy.
It's great. I gotta pee though. I'm listening. Right? I want to rant,
That's
not
fine.
rant, but
hi everyone.
Gush about the season. I gotta pee.
So Big Brother 20 for me from start to finish is probably the most interesting season you could watch as a modern Big Brother fan. And the thing about it is, I understand that at a certain point it feels like there's a steamroll, but what's different about Big Brother 20 that does not happen in other seasons like 16, where it feels kind of like a steamroll, is that the alliance in power, or the stronger like steamroll alliance, does not always hold the power. And even in the moments where they don't hold the power, they manage to come out on top through these like wild like scenarios. And for me, that is something that is so unique to Big Brother 20. It does have my favorite player of all time in Tyler Crispin, and I understand that Big Brother 22 Tyler, don't get it twisted. We'll talk about it when we get there. Big Brother 22 Tyler and Big Brother 20 Tyler are two different game players. And actually, listening to him talk about recently, he's been doing his own YouTube channel. One of the things that he has just started talking about is how he tried to play into his archetype, and in trying to play into his archetype, he found that he was not going to win the game, so he changed what he was doing. And because of that alone, the game players on the season just showcased themselves as so many of them showcased themselves as so much smarter than anyone gave them credit for. Dylan, who do you think I've been talking about for the last 2 minutes while you've been gone? Anyway,
smarter than Tyler Crispin.
And not just Tyler, right? I said that obviously it's got my favorite player in him. But what's beautiful about 20 is that even though there's a steamroll alliance in level 5 or level 6, sorry, really level 5 though. What's cool about level 6 is that even though they are technically the dominant alliance, they are not always in power. And in those moments that they are not in power, they play the game so well, each of them, that they're able to go about it and still come out on top. It's got some phenomenal players. It's got really on my daughter's birthday.
That's
brilliant.
My favorite moment of the season.
Brilliant. But like I think even I know this is something that like Purdium has said. He thinks that the pre-jury is a little boring. Or sorry, no, he thinks that I think he said the post-jury. One of the other.
The stretch from like the eliminations where it kind of goes, they kind of take over, and it's like Rockstar, Fessy, Haley, Sam, like that chunk to me is a little bit slow, but then it picks up at the end because you genuinely don't know who's going to win, because it could be either or, and I think both are deserving. The only problems I have with this season are that the editing does not help Casey's favor, because they really under-edited her early on. Whereas if it's a Survivor type thing where the whole season's done beforehand, they went back and edited it, I think she'd be a bigger character earlier on. But you can't control that because she wasn't winning anything earlier on. No. That's also a great winning strategy. And the only other thing is that I really don't love Sam or Fessy, and I think they make it too far. But the rest of the cast I love to watch. The back and forth, like you said, every week it was a different section in power, and Caitlyn was kind of the one being tossed around. Caitlyn, one of my favorite probably my favorite pre-juror of all time. I love Caitlyn. Got a little crush on her too. It's like that crazy crush. I love it. I think I love how Swaggy is like the top dog, gets picked off so early, and then like you see like Rachel fall early and Winston fall early, and then Caitlyn herself fall early. Like it's honestly the perfect boot order in terms of like creating drama, setting up dynamics, and then after the jury it slows a little bit, but then it picks up again. But even I like it.
Even in its slowing, it becomes this really awesome it's not like someone from level 6 winning every week. That's what I love about it, is that it's not a steamroll in the way that like they just toss HOHs back and forth. A little bit later in the season, Angela and Tyler toss them back and forth, but at that point it's pretty much just level 6. And people are kind of like, oh shit, we realized too late, which I love because it really shows like that Fessy getting rid of Scotty, Haley literally being like, what are we doing right now? Rockstar giving Tyler the answer on OTEV. Like it's just it's boring in terms of the boot order, but everything that surrounds it and swirls. The Brett blindside at double eviction. Like just never ending like moments, and the way that they play it out. I think that I'm glad it's in your top 5, because I think more people give it a hard time because they don't they don't necessarily like Tyler or Angela or even like Brett or
I love them all.
But I think that they're all such fantastic game players that bring them back on a different season where they're newbies, and any of them are winners. And that's
look at Angela on the challenge, even by herself without Tyler, crushed it on the challenge. She didn't win, I don't think. No, she didn't win, but she was dominating.
She should have though. She should have.
Her and Tyson were dominating for a long while. No, I agree. It's a great season. We can kind of rush through this next few because like Celebrity Big Brother, the first one, I think it's like either high D or low C. It's like very average. It's not a bad season. Ross and Marissa play the game really well. They're a great dynamic duo, but I feel like they're the only
Yeah,
two who really want to play. Also, all
I
the
think it's low C. I think it's low C.
yeah. And we might as well do the other Celebrity Big Brothers too. Celebrity Big Brother 2.
I would say low B. I think it's a
I
pretty good
I agree.
season.
I think that's the best Celebrity Big Brother season probably.
Well, and best winner. I mean,
Yes, Tamar winning
Tamar.
unanimously. First black woman and only black. Nope, first
Yeah,
black woman to win. I forgot.
first black woman to win.
And then Celebrity Big Brother 3. I was
It's
much
pretty low
higher
for
on
me.
it. When we finished the season wrapped, I was actually higher on it because I was like, the first few weeks were really intense and awesome with like Chris Kirkpatrick and all the blind sides. But looking back on it, all I can think about is Todrick and that sour taste. I don't think it's an F, but I think it's like D.
I think it's a D.
Yeah, D. Is it above 19?
Yeah.
No. Yeah? Okay.
Okay. No.
I think that's the spot
I think
for
it's
it.
below.
Yeah.
Okay. Just leave it. Leave it. Leave it.
Would you
We'll
rather see
never agree.
Paul bully people or Todrick?
Oh, Paul.
Yeah, that's where we're at.
Paul's not famous. Paul's not
yeah.
famous.
All right, last
Paul
4
doesn't
seasons.
pay people.
21, hard to watch at times, but I think the winner sucks. I hate Mickey, but Nicole and Cliff make that season bearable because you have two underdogs that make it deep. They're the reason it's bearable. I don't think it's any higher than a D. I think it's a bad season. But I think because of Nicole and Cliff, it's not a failure of a season, and it's still above Big Brother.
Yeah.
Is it above 19 though? Because that finale
No,
sucks so bad.
I put it above 19 because I thought that there was there are moments like in 19 you have moments like when Mark wins the double eviction and you're like, ooh, yay, but then you're also kind of like, it's not really that exciting because now Elena's just gonna go home. Where like I think when Nicole wins her, is it HOH or is it veto? I think it's HOH, right?
In the double, yeah.
I like it's good because you know that someone's gonna have to go home. You want it to be Mickey, and it ends up not being Mickey. If 19 had been F, I would have put 21 and F right above it.
So I want to put it right there.
But I think we can put it there. I think it is I still think it's a failure of a season because there's no time where I'm really excited about it, except for Nicole's win and like. I wasn't even excited at the time for Cliff's comeback into the house because I wanted
just happened.
David or Ovi or
Kemi. Yeah.
Like literally anybody else. It just it wasn't great.
I think Kat Dunn brings lots of season 2. The conspiring.
That's true.
I think she's a fun character too.
CBS, bring back Kat Dunn. Stop. Enough. Bring her back.
This next season's really hard because it's a very good display of gameplay. For the winner, Cody crushes that season.
Yeah.
Enzo is so much fun to watch. But aside from those two, what else is there in All Stars 2 to enjoy?
It is ironic. I think you know how I said 14 was the best way for returnees to come back? This is the worst. I think this is in the modern Big Brother, like outside of things like obviously like the racism from BB15, the bullying from BB21 and 19, I think this strategically is the worst season of modern Big Brother because it just at every point it's disappointing.
There's no suspense.
There's no suspense. You are never rooting for a single person. The only person we all like collectively rooted for, like again, I rooted for Tyler because he was my pick, and that's just how I always feel.
Yeah.
But like it was sad because his heart wasn't in it.
We all rooted
for rough.
We all liked Kaser, Janelle, and I'd say Ian. Like that's kind of
and Davon, and that was like. But even still, like Davon gets the short end of the stick because she is put on the outs. What I will say about 22, and I think this is the best possible thing it could have done. 22 was sad because we wanted All Stars to be what All Stars 1 was, this like really phenomenal display of gameplay from all these different players, and what it turned into was Steamroll McGee, people being upset about like, oh, Derek coached Cody. the finale is pretty damn good with his cutting of Nicole.
Yeah.
It's a rough moment to watch. But what the best thing that 22 did, and I would go on record literally saying it showed CBS you need diversity in your game now. Because what it we can't not talk about it, right? It's unfortunate. You have a whole alliance of white people, and you got the 3 black people in the house literally being like, I guess we can work together, with Davon and Bailey literally like clicking and syncing, but they try to turn them against each other. All these, it's ugly. It's not pretty to watch. And it's only sort of saved in the end by the fact that like once Memphis is gone, once
Christmas is gone.
once Danny is gone, you finally can kind of breathe and say like, okay, like now I can
even then,
enjoy myself. But
I couldn't breathe because the thought of Nicole possibly being a 2-time winner, if she wins that final immunity and cuts Cody, and it's her and Enzo and her winning, I couldn't stomach it. I do think Enzo though keeps it entertaining for me. I've always loved Enzo. I'll always defend Enzo. He's probably my favorite runner.
I love Enzo. Enzo won me a Big Brother pool that year, a Big Brother like draft that year, I think, and I loved it.
I love Enzo, and I do. It's just so hard to watch what happens with Janelle and Kaser and Keisha and Nicole Anthony
and Ian.
I mean,
Ian,
and David.
I forgot about
David,
Ian.
Whatever.
No, David,
David.
But that is also the thing about this All Stars is that I don't know if it's, again, it was 2020, so like things were different. But I don't know if it was just because it was COVID, but like to bring back people like David, and like I love Nicole, but Nicole wasn't necessarily an All Star to me. Nicole Anthony, I'm glad that she was back, but like to bring back your 21, your season 21 was just bad altogether. Bring back less 21, bring back more people from the prior seasons. If you had one person from 22, it should have been Nicole, and that was it.
Yeah. So I think it's still above 19 and 21 because I think the winners really earned their victories. I think Cody did play a great game.
I think it's above. I think it's above 9 too. I think 9.
But it's on D, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, 100%.
All right, 23 Cookout, boring in terms of like,
but iconic.
Boring but iconic. Like it's kind of like the same thing as almost like 16, where it's like it's kind of boring, but it is iconic. And I think it's a harder task to pull off for them. And when they all 100%. Pull it off, it's like that giddiness of, oh my God, they did it. The Frenchie stuff preseason.
I forgot about the Frenchie stuff. But also that moment of, are you okay?
There's a bird on my AC and it's so loud. I don't know if you hear that.
Oh my God. I can't. But also like the moment when they're all final 6 and Julie congratulates them. I mean, like it is like, it's iconic. It was, the cast of characters as a whole was not great. Like the Sarah Beths, but then you have like Claire and Derek X.
Yeah, I thought they brought a good energy. Claire, DX. I love Alyssa. I think Christian was a fun character. Frenchie. The only dud is maybe Whitney. I even thought Brent and Travis brought something to the season.
Brent.
I think it's a really good season.
Yeah, I agree.
The worst part is the fact that once we get to 6, also they take Tiffany and Hannah out right away, and then Xavier kind of steamrolls it. Like the finale is real boring. But I think overall,
it's the worst finale in modern Big Brother. I think
overall,
at least like with 22, it could have been didn't have to be unanimous.
I'm sticking A or B. Like I think it's still like a really good season.
It was my number 15 out of like my top 15, but I think that for me puts it either at the bottom of A or the top of B, somewhere in that realm. I think it does. The iconic nature of the Cookout for me really saves it. If it wasn't like that, it would have been a boring season. But because of what it was, and then unfortunately the laziest, or not the laziest, but like the most boring final 3 I've ever seen.
But now Dylan.
I
didn't put this in my top 5 because of recency bias, but I really like it. It's top 10.
It's in my top 10. In my top 10.
Taylor's story is so good, but it's also like it's an unconventional win in terms of like it's not the game we're used to seeing. It's not a dominant game in terms of comps or anything like that. But she really uses her resources well. And I don't love all the bullying at the top, but because of how the season plays out, I think it's a much more satisfying ending than like All Stars 2 or 21 or 19 or 15. You know, like it's like your perfectly scripted story in terms of like the evil kind of the good soaring above and winning in the end. I'm actually blanking
I
on
agree.
who all was in that season aside from Taylor. I have to like look and see.
So
Um,
you have
oh yeah,
Taylor,
Turner was great.
Joseph, Monty, Turner,
The Kyle stuff is a
uh,
little icky, but
Terrence, Kyle,
Terrence too.
Alyssa. I mean, like a lot of it is a little icky, but the good thing you do have, like, you have Michael, you have Brittany, who, like, I know that there's a really big controversy around, like, kind of how people played out and like the information that they withheld, and I really do get it, and it's unfortunate, but also like I think the question continues to be like, what do you do when you're in a situation where there's $750,000 on the line? And how do you play that game? Do you play it fully with integrity, or do you do what Michael and Brittany unfortunately did, which is like, hey, we got to hold that information until it can get us further, and it may not win us the game, but like it'll give us the better shot. I personally, and I've struggled to even think about how I would answer this question. I don't know if I would have done differently or if I would have done it the same, but it's one of those things where like you have to look at yourself and say like, this is real life, but there's a lot of money at the end, but this is real life.
Mm.
And people are watching, and I think that like
It's reality TV.
what
And
really
Dan, can we talk
what
some reality TV?
like the thing about thanks Chad. Matt had a question, Dylan, too, that I want to answer.
Yes, I was going to save that for the end
Um,
because I figured that's a good way to end the
right.
conversation in the last 5 minutes.
But I think that the thing about 24 is that it continued what 22 really really showcased, and what 23 did such a good job at showing why it was important and how it could change the game. The more diversity you continue to have, the harder questions your house guests will have, and because of that, your game will get better. This finale, I think, might. I don't know if it is. I don't have the statistic, but I would venture to say this was my most anticipated finale in the last like 5 years, because I was foaming at the mouth to make sure that Taylor won. If Taylor didn't win,
and the odds were
people were
against
going to
her.
riot.
The odds were against her because
yeah.
everyone thought that one like she was going to get third place, and I just love her underdog story, her rising above from being bullied by everyone and being the outsider to then finding people who are finally
Being
willing to accept her.
underestimated.
And that moment where the leftovers form is an iconic moment, probably a top 5 moment for me in the series of like, we are going to look after you. We're so sorry this happened. We're going to stand up to this bullying. And then they run the house and then she ends up winning. It's so amazing. It's such a great arc. There are icky moments. I don't love all the characters, but they all still are very good in the story. Like Brittany, Alyssa, Terrence, I could do without. Even Kyle, I thought was an entertaining presence until he was problematic. And you know, whatever.
Kyle was a favorite for a little bit. Kyle was a favorite. We all forget,
and Joseph
we all were like,
yeah. I was gonna say Joseph's great too. Like I really think this is a great season. I would say this is an A tier season. I really do. Like there are lows, but the highs really rise above that. And even the last minute Monty villain turn, where like he kind of becomes a pseudo villain at the very end. So seeing him lose is even more cathartic and amazing. I say it's an A tier. I don't know about you.
I think it's an A tier.
Cool. And I'll put it right there because I think we both agree. And we have to put 2 more in our top 5. And I think because you said it's a perfect beginner season, I think 12 should go up there. And do you want to put All Stars or 24? I think 24 is so recent. Let's put All Stars in our top 5 as well. I don't like having 2 rows for B, so let's pick a B to bump up to A. Do we want to bump 23 up for the cookout, or do we want to bump one of the classic seasons up?
I think we...
Or do we bump Celebrity BB down to C, average?
I think we bump it down to C, average.
All right, boom. Oh, well, nope. There we go. There we go. That's clean. That's beautiful. So there's our tier list of all our seasons. Our top 5 is Big Brother 14, 20, 10, 12, and 7, aka All Stars. A tier, we have 24 and 11. B tier, All Strong, 23, 5, 6, 18, 3, 2, and 16. C tier, Celebrity Big Brother 2, Big Brother 8, 13, 17, 4, and the original Celebrity Big Brother. Then D is All Stars 2, 9, 21, 19, and Celebrity Big Brother 3. And then our failures of seasons is Over the Top, and then Big Brother 15. And then the one that's just ancient, it's not really Big Brother. It's an artifact at this point. It's Big Brother 1. Stacy says, Venmo wants me to confirm the last 4 digits. Oh, that's so kind. 9924. 9924. I will put that in this this comments here. Thank you so much for your donations. As I said, this is a subathon. We're still going. We have Oh, a little over an hour left. We're almost there. But Zach, this is so much fun. Let's answer Matt's question before we bring on the other host to kind of wrap up the subathon. Um, and that is Dylan. Zach, what fictional character from movies or TV would you most want to see on a season of Big Brother? I haven't thought about this, and the question was posed about an hour ago, so I should have been thinking about this. You're welcome, Stacey, and thank you. Oh my gosh. So Stacey is going to be able to sponsor a podcast, and I will make her a podcast of her choice because she donated a certain amount of money. She said podcast TBD. Thank you, Stacey. You're the best. You're a rock star. Thank you. And you'll be entered into this Blu-ray giveaway, which I'm about to do in a sec. Nana and Pop Up, thank you for your donation as well. And Mom, thank you for your donation. That's so amazing, and I love you. But to answer Matt's question, Zach, what are we thinking?
And I love you. Oh man, fictional characters from movies or TV. I'm on my Last of Us kick right now, so I'd love to see Ellie from The Last of Us in a Big Brother season. I think she would have the fucking time of her life, and I think it would be a ton of fun to watch. I would love to see I think I would want Peter Parker, but Tom Holland's version of Peter Parker to play a little bit of Big Brother. Dylan, what about you? That's two for me. I'll think of another I'll think of another like two or three while we're talking about it.
I think that, gosh, I need to like think. I'll pick like a Marvel pick. I think Kamala Khan would be great in Big Brother. Miss Marvel. I think she's like, she's got that spark and that energy. Who else? I think Sherlock Holmes would be really good.
In that, I would like to see Benoit Blanc in the Big Brother house. Benoit Blanc from Knives Out.
Just to answer your question, Chad, it's in the description of the video, where what everything unlocks. Description. Sorry, what was that? Oh, Benoit Blanc. Yeah, that's a good one. Like
Benoit
kind
Blanc,
of the sleuth. Yeah.
Benoit Blanc. I don't know if there's anybody else.
I'm trying to just think of movies.
I'm sure
I'm blanking.
There are definitely other people. I'm trying to think of like what. Oh, I'm going with like my favorite things that I've watched. I'd like to see like Justin Henderson play some Stranger Things. I think play some Stranger Things. Play some Big Brother. I think he would be highly underestimated, and they'd all like be like, "Oh, you're so cute," and then he'd do an Ian Terry.
I think in terms of like a Twilight character, since we were talking about those last night, I think I think Jasper would fly under the radar, very quiet. But I think like I could see Emmett Cullen being your Cody, kind of just dominating competitions, but being the kind of guy that everyone centers around. Matt, that's such a good question. Matt did give an answer. He says he can't decide between Michael Scott or Dwight Schrute. Those are great picks as well. I think Oscar would also be great because Oscar is Stone Cold. Who would I most like to see?
Kelsey
Dwight,
play.
Yes, but who do I think would do well? You know,
I think Kelsey would be great on Big Brother.
Kelsey would be great on Big Brother.
I think Kelsey would be great on Big Brother.
He would. But that's going to wrap up our Big Brother talk. Zach's going to stay right here because we're going to have some of the hosts come back
Not
in.
Moving
I think Matt, you're watching. I think Chad, you're watching. Anyone else who wants to pop in, like Stacy or anyone else watching who wants to pop in and play a game maybe or two. We have an hour left. We're going to pick a Blu-ray giveaway winner for all the people that donated. And we're going to kind of wrap this up and kind of go over what we did. Subs wasn't crazy, but tips, we got some amazing tips, so that'll help grow the channel. And what I've decided is that for subscriptions, because this video was 24 hours long, but some people can't tune in on a weekend, for the whole week, if we gain subscribers, we'll still hit those benchmarks. So like if we hit 100 subscribers more on Wednesday or Thursday because they're watching this video, I will count that towards the total. So we can still unlock the roast of Dill if there are 1,000 people who subscribe within the course of the week. Good morning, Carly. Wow, Carly up early. Carly, that's what, 7 a.m. for you? 8 a.m. West Coast, Seattle. Thank you, Carly, for being probably the most attentive audience member for this subathon. And of course, thank you to Zach, Chad, Matt, Stacy, Kelsey, everyone who's like co-hosted or done something for this. It is now 11, which means we're exactly an hour away. 8 a.m. Yes, Carly. Okay. which means we're exactly an hour away. So let me do our outro just because we have to do our outro just because this is going to air. Here's our outro, and then I'll transition to subathon.